Amaras' stubbornness pushed her to picking fishes from the river no one eats from after several warnings from the villagers. She would go to the river every night looking starved, wondering why she would be feeding on only eggs when she could actually pick up fishes and cook. Welcome to Anne's Folktales, where stories come alive. Get ready for drama, lessons, and unforgettable twists. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Now, let's jump into today's folktale. Amara was an Igbo girl and the only daughter of her parents. She was born into a very rich family. Her parents loved her so much and gave her everything she wanted. She grew up with many nannies who cooked for her, dressed her, cleaned her room, and followed her everywhere. Because of this, Amara became stubborn, rude, and spoiled. She never knew what real life was like. Amara went to one of the best primary schools. She picked her friends based on who she liked and who looked rich. Everyone wanted to be close to her because she always came to school with a driver in a very beautiful car and nannies. She finished her primary education in Nigeria and later her parents sent her to outside the country to continue her education. Even there, she lived a very easy life. She had her own room, her own helpers, and everything she needed. Life was always comfortable for her. When she came back to Nigeria, she applied for an admission into a university and luckily for her she was admitted. Her parents rented a nice apartment for her, hired a cook and a cleaner, and made sure she never suffered. Amara lived like a princess. After she finished university, it was time for Nysc. Amara believed she would be sent to a big city close to home. But she was shocked when she saw where she was posted. She was sent to a far, far village she had never heard of in Anambra State. Her parents were scared. They made calls, begged officials, and tried everything to change her posting, but nothing worked. For the first time in her life, Amara had no power. She had to go to the village, whether she liked it or not. When Amara arrived at Umuko village with other corps members for her youth service, the first thing she felt was shock. The air was dusty, the houses were small mud buildings, and the loud noises of the city were replaced by goats bleating and children running around barefoot. The villagers welcomed them with smiles, food, and respect. They treated them like special guests. Amara was not used to such simple kindness. She expected insult or suffering, but the villagers were warm and friendly. The villagers and village elder called the corps members for an urgent meeting at the village river one evening. The villagers warned them never to eat anything that comes from the village river, that it was forbidden. Amara and all the other corps members nodded in agreement. Amara was posted to teach in the village primary school. The school was old and did not have many facilities, but the children were happy and full of energy. On her first day, the pupils ran to her, held her hands, and led her to their class. Everyone called her Copper Amara. For the first time, she felt responsible for something. Her lodge room was small and hot. She had a roommate, Nkechi, who had grown up in a humble home and didn't understand why Amara complained all the time. Every day, Amara missed her soft bed, her warm showers, her delicious meals, and her many choices of food. The villagers served eggs almost every morning at the lodge, and Amara was tired of it. "I cannot eat eggs again," she cried one evening. "I miss fresh fish pepper soup, fried fish, grilled fish, just anything fish." Nkechi laughed. "My sister, manage it like this. The villagers warned us not to eat fish from the river. They say it is forbidden." But Amara did not care. That night, when everyone was asleep, she quietly stood up, tiptoed across the room, and sneaked out. She didn't want Nkechi to wake up and stop her. The moon was bright, lighting the narrow footpath that led to the river. Amara hugged herself tightly, shivering as she walked. She kept thinking of the sweet taste of fish and how she was tired of the dry eggs they kept giving her. When she reached the river, she sighed with relief. She bent down and started picking fishes. "I must enjoy myself," she whispered. "I didn't grow up suffering. One night of fish will not kill me." Amara rushed back to the lodge with her small bowl of fish hidden under her jacket. Her heart was pounding fast as she tiptoed inside. Nkechi was still asleep, snoring softly, hugging her pillow. "Thank God," Amara whispered. She quietly slid the fish under her bed and lay down, pretending nothing had happened. But sleep didn't come easily. Her mind kept replaying the walk to the river, the silent trees, and the strange feeling that someone was watching her. By morning, Nkechi dressed up and left early for the community school where they were posted to teach. Amara pretended to be sleepy. "Amara, you're not coming today?" Nkechi asked. "I'll come later." "I didn't sleep well," Amara lied. The moment Nkechi stepped out and the door closed, Amara jumped up. She pulled out the fish and smiled with excitement. "This village life cannot finish me," she said proudly. "Today I'll eat real food." She cooked the fish with pepper, onions, and spices she bought from the market. The smell filled the entire room, sweet and tempting. When she tasted the first spoon, she let out a long satisfied sigh. "This is life," she whispered. After eating, her stomach felt warm and full for the first time in weeks. She stretched herself on the bed and said, "Let me just rest more." Within minutes, she fell into a deep sleep. At first, she found herself standing alone in a wide forest. The wind was cold, and the sky was dark. She tried to move, but her legs felt heavy. Then she heard drums, loud, angry drums echoing from every direction. Boom! 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 Suddenly, 10 tall masquerades with huge masks and colorful raffia skirts appeared from the trees. They didn't walk, they glided across the ground as if floating. Amara froze. Her heart hammered in her chest. One masquerade lifted a long staff and pointed it at her. "You ate from the forbidden river," it boomed. Another raised its voice. "You were warned." Before she could speak, the masquerade started chasing her. Amara ran through the forest, branches slapping her face, her feet stumbling over roots. The ground shook as the masquerades chased her, their voices echoing. "You must never speak of the fish. Never tell anyone. If you do, you will die." Amara cried and begged as she ran. "I'm sorry. I was hungry. I won't tell anyone," she screamed. But they chased her. One grabbed her shoulder, its hand was cold like ice. "You will keep silent," it growled. "Or your blood will flow in this forest." Amara screamed. And that scream snapped her awake. Amara sat up on her bed, sweating heavily. Her heart was racing. Her clothes were soaked as if she had run a marathon. The room was quiet. But something felt wrong. Her pot of fish was still on the floor, but the cover had slid halfway off, like someone had touched it. And then she noticed it. A long, muddy footprint on the floor. Inside the room. Right beside her bed. The next morning, Amara woke up with shaky hands and tired eyes. She tried to act normal, but her mind was still trapped inside the dream. The voice of the masquerades kept ringing in her head. "Never speak of the fish, or you will die." When Nkechi returned from school, she found Amara sitting on the bed, staring at the wall like she was seeing something no one else could see. "Nene, are you alright?" Nkechi asked. Amara forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just tired." But she wasn't fine, not even close. That night, Amara screamed in her sleep. Nkechi jumped up from her bed. "Amara! Amara! Wake up!" Amara sat up suddenly, breathing hard. "They're chasing me, they're chasing me," she whispered. "Who? Who is chasing you?" Nkechi asked, panicking. Amara looked around the room before answering in a trembling voice. "I can't say." From that day, everything changed. Some nights she would laugh suddenly. Some nights she would cry. Other nights she would wake up screaming so loudly that other corps members came to knock on their door. Is she sick? They asked. Is she possessed? What happened to her? Nkechi became worried, confused, and scared. What is happening to you, Amara? She asked one day, holding her hand. Amara only shook her head. I can't tell you, she whispered. You won't understand. The forbidden dream kept returning. Every night, the masquerades chased her. Every night, they warned her. Say nothing. Tell no one. Silence or death. Sometimes Amara woke up running. Sometimes she woke up praying. Sometimes she woke up crying like a child lost in the forest. By the time they completed their youth service months later, Amara was a shadow of herself. The once proud, stubborn, wealthy girl now looked pale, skinny, and frightened. Her eyes carried a permanent sadness, like someone who had seen something she could never forget. When they finally traveled back to the city, Nkechi hoped Amara would return to normal. But Amara sat quietly in the bus, staring out the window, silent, distant, lost in her own world. She never mentioned the fish again. She never spoke about the dream. She never told anyone what happened by the river that night. But deep inside, she knew the village had followed her home. When Amara returned to the city, her parents welcomed her with joy. They had already planned her future even before she finished her service year. Her father announced proudly, Amara, you will start work next week as the new director of my company. It's time for you to take your place. Everyone expected Amara to be excited. But she only nodded quietly. Amara tried to live normally, but the memories from the village refused to leave her. At the office, she would freeze suddenly during meetings, staring at walls as if she saw figures moving. She sometimes whispered under her breath, Don't chase me. I didn't tell anyone. Please. Her workers noticed she talked to herself in her office. Her mother noticed too. One evening, Mama Amara found her daughter sitting on the floor of her bedroom, drawing circles with her finger and murmuring. They said I should not talk, they said silence, silence or death. Amara, her mother shouted, rushing to her. Her mother froze. A cold shiver ran through her body. Days passed, and Amara's condition worsened. Sometimes she would lock herself inside her room for the whole day, refusing to eat, refusing to talk. Other times she would suddenly scream out long, sharp cries that shook the whole house. Her father's workers once found her shouting inside her office, pointing at an empty corner. Leave me alone. Please. I won't tell them. I won't tell. Her parents had no choice but to carry her home. At night, it became even worse. She would run around the house, shouting the same words. They are chasing me. They are chasing me. Sometimes she became so violent that her father and some relatives had to hold her down. Sometimes they tied her with a rope to stop her from hurting herself. Her mother cried every single day. One morning, Amara threw herself against her bedroom wall, screaming a name nobody understood. Her mother ran into the room and held her tightly as she shook like a leaf. Mommy, they want me, Amara cried. Her mother broke down in tears. She hugged her only child and screamed for help. That afternoon, she ran to her pastor barefoot. Pastor, please, she cried. My only child is dying. Something is attacking my Amara. I beg you, help me. She's all I have. The pastor looked at her with concern. Madam, bring her, he said softly. This is no ordinary issue. Her mother nodded, crying even harder. She knew she had no time left. Something dark had followed Amara home from the village. And it didn't plan to leave. As the years passed, Amara's strange behavior continued. Her parents prayed, fasted, and took her to different pastors. Sometimes she improved for a week, then suddenly relapsed again. Soon, She reached the age her parents expected suitors to come. But none came. Whenever a young man showed interest, something strange happened. One man said he dreamed of a tall masquerade warning him never to return to Amaras' house. Another man fell sick the very week he wanted to propose. Another simply disappeared without explanation. Her mother cried bitterly. It is this spirit. It is chasing every suitor away. Her father became worried and frustrated. How long will this continue? What will become of our daughter? Amara herself was trapped in her own world, sometimes calm, sometimes shaking, sometimes whispering to invisible things. One day, a man named Chuka came into the picture. He was a calm, gentle businessman who had once met Amara at her father's office before her illness began. When he returned years later and heard of her condition, he still insisted he wanted to marry her. Sir, he told her father, I know she is not well, but I love her. Maybe marriage will help her heal. Her parents were shocked. Her mother even held his hands and asked, Chuka, do you truly understand what you are asking for? Chuka nodded. I will take care of her. And so, Amara finally got married. Her parents were relieved. They prayed that marriage would bring peace into her life. For the first few months, Amara behaved normally. She cooked, cleaned, laughed, and Chuka felt he had made the right choice. But slowly, everything changed again. One night, Chuka woke up to find her standing beside the bed, staring at him without blinking. Another night, she screamed so loudly that neighbors came running, thinking something terrible had happened. She started talking to herself again. She wandered around the house at night. She sat on the floor counting invisible things. She woke up crying, calling names nobody recognized. Chuka became confused and scared. He took her to doctors, nothing changed. He took her to pastors, sometimes she fainted, sometimes she shouted, sometimes she went quiet for days. People began to gossip. Oh, this woman cannot conceive. Something is wrong spiritually. That thing troubling her is blocking everything. 5 years passed. 5 long years. Amara didn't conceive. No pregnancy. No sign. Nothing. Chuka became frustrated. He loved her, but her condition drained him emotionally, mentally, spiritually. One night, after another episode where Amara broke plates and screamed until she fainted, Chuka finally broke down. I can't do this anymore, he said with tears in his eyes. I am losing myself. He took her back to her parents' house the next morning. Her mother cried and begged him to reconsider, but Chuka shook his head sadly. I tried. For 5 years, I tried. But I cannot continue like this. I'm sorry. And he left. Amara sat quietly on the sofa that day, staring at the ceiling, smiling at something no one else could see. After Chuka returned Amara, her mother became completely confused and broken. She watched her only child wander around the house talking to shadows, laughing at invisible people, or sitting in a corner shaking. Nothing made sense anymore. One evening, after another long scream from Amara that shook the whole compound, her mother knelt beside her bed and cried. God, where did this problem come from? My child was not like this, she was my bright, sweet girl. And then a thought flashed in her mind. She changed after youth service. Amara had gone to the village normal and had returned, different. Immediately, her mother stood up and wiped her tears. There must be something that happened there. Something they didn't tell us. She quickly searched for Nkechi's number, Amara's closest roommate during service. When Nkechi picked the call, she sounded surprised. Mommy Amara. Good afternoon, Ma. Hope all is well. Her mother's voice was shaking. Nkechi, please, tell me the truth. My daughter is not well. I am confused. What happened in that village? Nkechi became silent. Ma. I don't know what to say, she replied gently. We lived no more. We arrived together. The villagers warned all of us never to go near the big river, especially never to eat the fish there. They said it was forbidden for outsiders. Her mother swallowed hard. Yes, continue. We obeyed, Nkechi continued. We went to school, returned home, cooked, slept. Nothing serious happened, at least nothing I can remember. Even when service finished, everything looked fine to me. Her mother sighed. But Amara was never like this before she went for service. Ma, Nkechi said softly, I don't think anything went wrong. She didn't say anything. She didn't complain about anything unusual. But her mother's heart was already racing. She remembered how stubborn, spoilt, and disobedient Amara was. How she always wanted her own way. How she never listened to warnings. She closed her eyes tightly, thinking. That forbidden river. That night she was screaming about being chased. The strange behaviors that started immediately after service. Her mother's mind clicked. No. I don't trust this girl, she whispered to herself. Amara must tell me the truth. That night, she entered Amara's room slowly. Her daughter was sitting on the floor, humming like a child. Amara, her mother said. Sitting beside her. I want you to tell me something very important. Amara didn't answer. She just rocked back and forth. Her mother placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. My daughter, did you go to that forbidden river? Did you touch anything there? Amara's humming stopped. She became still, too still. As if she remembered something she had been trying to forget. Her mother felt her heart break. Amara, she whispered painfully, please, tell me the truth. I know you. You were stubborn. You never listened. Did you disobey the villagers? Amara slowly lifted her head. Her lips trembled. And then, a deep voice, not her own, whispered from her throat. She ate what was not meant for her. Her mother screamed. After hearing that terrifying voice come out of Amara's mouth, her mother ran straight to her husband. Daddy Amara, she cried. Something is inside our daughter. Something followed her from that village. Without wasting a second, her father grabbed his car keys. We are going to that village tonight. We will not stay here and watch our only child die. They carried Amara, weak, shaking, and murmuring strange things, and placed her in the back seat. The drive to the village was long and filled with fear. Sometimes Amara laughed during the journey. Sometimes she cried. Sometimes she whispered in a voice that wasn't hers. Her mother held her tightly, praying non-stop. When they finally reached the village, they went straight to the elders' compound. The villagers immediately recognized Amara. We warned all of you, one elder said quietly. This river does not forgive disobedience. Her father fell to his knees in desperation. Please help us. Anything you say, we will do. Save my daughter. The elders gathered, whispered among themselves, and then the oldest among them spoke. This spirit did not just warn her. She broke a spiritual rule by eating from the forbidden river. Outsiders are not allowed to touch anything from that water. Amara shivered. Her mother held her hand and sobbed. The elder continued. The only way to free her is sacrifice. Not blood. Not animal. But her life's destiny. Amara's mother cried, what destiny? The elder sighed deeply. To be free, Amara must become one of us. She must marry a son from this village, live in this village permanently, and give birth to a child who will belong to this land. Only then will the spirit release her. Her parents froze. Their sophisticated, city-raised daughter. A director in a company. Marry a village boy. Live in mud houses. Raise a child here. But they had no choice. Amaras' life was slipping away. Amaras' father wiped his tears with shaking hands. If that is the only way to save her, he whispered, we will do it. Her mother cried loudly, holding her daughter's head to her chest. The elders began the cleansing rituals. The villagers brought out one of the young men, an illiterate farmer who had never gone beyond primary school. He was chosen by the elders for the marriage. Amara, still trapped between madness and fear, could not refuse. She didn't even fully understand what was happening. Her parents watched their only child, once a sophisticated, spoiled, wealthy city girl, being handed over to a village man she didn't know. Her mother sobbed uncontrollably. My child, this is not the life I wanted for you. But it was the only path that would keep Amara alive. After the marriage rites, Amara was taken to the small mud house where her new husband lived. She looked around at the bare room, the dusty floor, the kerosene lamp. And tears rolled down her cheeks. She regretted the night she went to the forbidden river. She regretted her stubbornness. She regretted every choice she made. Her parents stayed with her for 2 days, watching her quietly begin her new life, fetching water from the stream, cooking with firewood, living with people who had never seen city life. When it was time to leave, her mother hugged her tightly. Please forgive us, she said, crying. We did what we had to do. They left her behind. Their only child. Their pride. Their joy. Left in a village she never belonged to. Amara spent the rest of her life there. Wearing village wrappers. Cooking with smoke stinging her eyes. Working on the farm. And raising a child who belonged to the village. Her parents visited only once in a while, each time crying when they saw how much she had changed. That was how Amara, the rich and spoiled city girl, ended her life as a villager. All because of one night. One river. One forbidden fish.